So my name's Ryan Lottie. I'm a technology adoption consultant at OISE in Education Commons. I'm also a former teacher, kind of retired teacher right now. And I've been using Google Classroom and Google Workspace for probably over a decade, and still use it every day. So in this session, we're gonna talk a little bit about how you can get access to the OISE version of Google Workspace. But I'm also gonna walk you through some tips and tricks for the apps and just different ways you can kind of use some of the tools. So if you've used some of these tools before, it might be a little top level, a little easy for you, but definitely moving forward, I can do some more in-depth sessions down the road and kind of go into setting up a classroom and stuff like that. So today we're going to go over what is Google Workspace for Education. I'm going to show you how you can sign into it if you have not already. Some troubleshooting if you're having trouble signing in, where you can find training and support. And then I'm going to go through a bunch of the apps and tools. So that being said, this Google Workspace for Education project was set up because we want to get a version of it for all of the MT community. So if you're in the Master of Teaching program or you are a staff or faculty member, we want to have access that we can use all year round and beyond graduation as well too. So if you've completed practicums at TDSB or other school boards, it's likely you've been provisioned an account through that school board, but usually once you leave the school board, they cut off your access. So our hope is that you can use our version to create resources, build classrooms, test stuff, collaborate with your peers, and then you can absolutely share this into your TDSB or other school board accounts as needed. Just anecdotally, it looks like most school boards in Ontario that have switched to remote learning are using some instance of Google Workspace. And even where I teach and have taught in the past, all the way up in Canada's high Arctic, they also use Google Workspace. So it's definitely spread across the country. It's becoming very popular just because of how intuitive Google's products tend to be. In the Google Workspace for Education, we have the same version that TDSB has. And I keep using TDSB as an example because I think a lot of students do their practicums there. So it includes a lot of different types of tools that you may have used, maybe you haven't used. Things like Google Classroom, Google Sites, Google Meet, and I'll get more into depth in each individual piece of tech later on. But there's a lot of different tools you can explore, and a lot of these are actually already available to you if you have a Gmail account, if you have a personal email through Google. So if you are going to sign in to the OISE version of Google, you're just going to head over to gmail.com and type in your email address. So for me, mine's ryan.lottie@utoronto.ca. That's my university email address. For you, it might have a mail.utoronto.ca or something along those lines. And so instead of typing that in, you're actually going to swap out the domain for @oise.utoronto.ca. So basically keep the first half of your University of Toronto email, but make sure you use @oise.utoronto.ca. That's the domain we're using for this project. And it's kind of neat to have your own OISE specific email address. And so once you type in your first part of your email and you're @oise.utoronto.ca, you should be prompted to go to the SSO page. So Google's not going to ask you for a password. You're just going to go right to SSO and you're going to put in your UTOR ID, and then you are into Google. If you are one of the folks who signed up in our early adopters program, maybe you've been using our Google for 4 or 5 months now. Back then, you had to create your own Google password, but now we have SSO enabled, so it's going to be super easy for you to log in and use all of the tools. If you do not get directed to this SSO sign-in page, it's likely because we had an issue adding your email address in the back end because we're adding everyone in manually. And so if that is the case, sorry, this will pull you up to Gmail. But if that is the case, you can use this QR code or this website that I'll also share again at the very end of the session, where you can fill out a form. We can verify who you are, what your U of T email is, and we can create an account for you. So if you're not able to log in right now, or if you've tried it in the past, check this form out and we can get you set up. Again, I'll show you this link at the end, so just bear with me here. So for training and support, there's going to be a bunch of upcoming workshops and webinars and training resources, videos and stuff coming out from Education Commons. If there is an area of need that we're finding that you folks, the teacher candidates, want to learn more about, we can absolutely do specialized sessions. I can even provide one-to-one training and support or smaller group support if that's needed down the road too. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Now, I'm going to do a bit of a screen share here with what's going on my computer, and I'm going to go through a bunch of the different tools. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks of kind of what's available for you in Google Workspace through OISE. And so it's going to go everything through Gmail, and I'm going to talk about some of the less known things like Spaces and Google Keep and Classroom and things like that. And I'm going to hopefully kind of paint a broad picture of everything you can do with Google products. They're super collaborative, and I hope that everyone's going to learn at least one thing today. So I'm going to go and I'm going to share my Google browser, my Google Chrome browser. And I highly recommend that if you are using Google Workspace and you're signing into Gmail and you're using some of these tools, I recommend using Google Chrome as a browser, as it is pretty much the best supported browser for Google products because it's created by Google. If you're using Safari or Firefox, you may run into some issues, though probably not too many, just because of Google's products seem to work pretty well. So once you do log into Gmail for the first time, again, using that method I just showed you, you're going to come to an empty inbox kind of like this. And if you've used Gmail before, which most people in the world, I think, use Gmail, it's going to look very familiar. It's going to have a familiar feel. And that's kind of that's kind of how you log into Google Workspace. There's no special portal website. It's basically your landing page is always going to be your Gmail account. The first thing I want to show is that once you get into your account, you can always update your settings of how your Gmail looks and feels. So if you want to use the compact mode or customize how it looks, you can absolutely change all of this as well just by clicking the gear up top. You can also change your personal settings by clicking on your face. You can add a picture if you want. And adding a picture actually makes it, I think, a lot better when you're collaborating with people and sharing documents, especially if they're your classmates. It just helps kind of, put a face to the name and know who you're sharing with. And you can go in and you can change your name and that sort of stuff. Again, because we've pulled your name and your secondary email address from our system, hopefully it's accurate, but if you need to make any changes, you have the power to do that, which is good. So how do we start using these tools within Google Workspace? Well, I'm sure I don't need to go over Gmail too much. You can easily compose messages and put attachments on. So I'm going to kind of skip over that today. But if you click up on this, what I call the waffle button or the app drop-down menu, here you're going to see all of the apps that are available to you through Google Workspace. And a lot of people don't realize you can actually scroll down and to see a whole wide variety of apps. Up top are the more commonly used apps. I'm sure a lot of you have used things like Google Docs and Google Slides before, but as we scroll down, you'll notice that down here, hidden, we have things like Hangouts and Classroom and stuff like that. We can also add more apps to Google Workspace. And that's, if you do find that there's a cool app you really want to try out, you can just let us know in Education Commons or let someone like Kim McKinnon know, and we can definitely see if we can get that added to Google. I mean, there's obviously a million add-ons you can have for Google, so we just want to make sure that they are geared towards education and teaching and learning. So the first app I'm going to go over today is kind of one of the backbones of Google, and that is the Google Drive. So if I click Google Drive, this is going to be your online cloud storage. So basically similar to OneDrive, or if you've used Dropbox in the past, this is going to be your online storage where every single file you create in Google Workspace is going to be saved by default. In here, you can add files easily. You can add folders. So if you want to add a folder, and maybe I'll call this math resources, I can go ahead and add a folder called math resources. And I can actually even go further, and I can change the colors. I can move these around. I can star them if I want. And you can see exactly when it was created and what's in it. And once you click on the folder, you can absolutely add files, resources, etc. So if you have, and again, as pre-service teachers, if you have a bunch of teaching resources, PDFs, PowerPoints, you can add those all to your Google Drive, and they'll be stored securely, and you'll have access to them wherever you go, which is pretty cool. So a lot of people think Google Drive is only for Google-related files, but you can actually upload video files, pictures, PowerPoints, and things that aren't necessarily Google-based, which is cool. Inside your drive as well, you can also take different files and share them. So this is kind of where the collaboration comes in. You can actually choose to share with different classmates. So if I want to share this math lesson 1, I can actually start typing in names. And again, you're going to be populated with a list of folks from the MT program. So maybe I want to send this to Andrea. I can also choose what level of shareability, I guess, or security I want to send to Andrea. So I can choose if I just want Andrea to view something, or be able to comment on it, or be able to edit it. So if you're building resources that you want to share with your students, you probably a lot of the time just want them to be able to view it. If it's a Google Slides, if it's a PowerPoint, if it's a Microsoft Word document or a Google Slides, you likely just want viewer status. And you can even put a message, hey, enjoy this file, whatever, and you can send it away. And then Andrea is going to get, or your students are going to get sent an email saying, hey, Ryan just shared this file with you. And so that's kind of the most simple form of things you can do on Google Drive. You can also choose a link to share as well. So if you want to post a link on a class website or share it somewhere externally, you can do that as well too, which is pretty handy. So I'm just going to click out of that. And anytime you create anything within Google, it's automatically going to be populated into your Google Drive. And so you can already see, even though I haven't been using this too much, some things that I've created back in November, a math lesson, let's say, it's just sitting here. So I might want to drag this up and put it into my math resources. Again, your Google Drive is totally searchable too. So if I type in math, I can still find all that stuff too. So for me, organization isn't super important because I can always do the quick search. But if you like to keep your resources organized by subject, that could be useful as well too. So that is Google Drive in a nutshell. The cool thing is that we have essentially unlimited storage within Google Drive. We have 100 terabytes shared site-wide. So, feel free to load it up with teaching resources and that sort of stuff. Usually most files you create within Google, if it's a Google Doc or a Google Slide, those take up 0 file size, which is kind of cool too. So you can see even my math lesson here, 0, but or doesn't have anything because it's a Google file. But once you start pulling in PDFs and things like that, you start to realize that you are storing a lot of data. So the next thing I want to show are the 3 main, tools that I think people use outside of teaching. If you have a personal Gmail account, I think a lot of us have used Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides in the past. And this is definitely comparable to Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft PowerPoint. So if I go to Docs for a second here, it works just like your standard Microsoft Word. I can create a new document. I can start typing in it, which is kind of cool. But there's also a lot of templates you can use here too, which is pretty cool. And you can actually go through, and view all the templates that you want. And you can also create your own templates, which is cool too. So if you have a certain font or layout of different documents, let's say a lesson plan template, you could add that in here, so that way you'll always have a blank version of these files you need to work on or update and add, which is cool. So if you open up Google Docs, again, it works just like Microsoft Word. I would argue it has some better features, but it also lacks in some other ways too. For writing academic papers, that might not be your best option, but it does have cool features like voice typing. So if I click voice typing, let's just see. I would like to write an essay right now. Or maybe my mic is recognized with with the Zoom, so I apologize, it's not working. But normally it will recognize your voice and do dictation for you, which is kind of cool. Another cool thing is that within all of these Google products, they're super collaborative, and you can actually put people's names. You can actually link to other files as well. So if I link Andrea in here, basically connected them to the document, which is pretty cool as well. I'm just going to close this. Admit someone. Okay, so sorry, I'm getting a little flustered here. So I'm just going to pop back out to the main menu, and we can look at some more tools. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time on these three just because we've likely used them before, but Google Sheets as well works just like your Microsoft Excel. Maybe you want an attendance tracker for your class. You can use that too, which is pretty handy. I recommend definitely exploring some of these templates and filling them out and playing around, because like I said, it's so collaborative. You can share documents directly to other Google tools such as classrooms and sites, Gmail, and even to other users, which is pretty handy. And the last one I want to share is Google Slides as well. And Google Slides works just like PowerPoint. It has some pretty nifty features as well too. You can add images directly from the web, which is cool. So it definitely saves you saving PDFs or PNGs or JPEGs to your desktop. You can actually search the web. If I type in math, I can actually click it and I can insert it super quick. So that's the cool thing too. It's all files that you can use for educational purposes. So you're not going to have to worry about any sort of copyright and stuff like that. But obviously, as teachers, we never have to worry about borrowing other teaching resources from places we found online, which is kind of cool. So moving beyond the docs, sheets, and slides, there were a few other important things I want to note before we get into the classroom. There's really great communication tools within Google, and I'll just head back to my Gmail here. You may have heard of Google Hangouts before in the past, Google Meet, Google Chat. The one thing I want to note is that Google Hangouts has been discontinued and kind of shifted into what we call Google Chat. And Google Chat is just going to appear in the left-hand column of your inbox. You can easily start a message. I can type in, again, Andrea, I use as an example, and I can say hi. And I can see Andrea hasn't logged in a while, so she's away. But if you're collaborating with students or your peers, you might see that they're online, etc., which is pretty handy. And your chats will always be retained over here in the left-hand column. The other one I want to share is Google Meet, which if I click on this button here, we have Google Meet. So I can actually start new meetings very quickly. I can schedule meetings as well. I can create a meeting link for later. And if I click to start instant meeting, hopefully this isn't going to overload my system doing a meeting within a meeting. But here you can see it's me. I can start to add other users to my meeting, which is kind of cool. And over here in the tool section, activities, we can also run a whiteboard at the same time. So it's another way you can have students collaborate with you. Obviously, you can share your Google Slides. You can run lectures or lessons that way. But having a whiteboard is pretty handy, and a chat feature is also handy as well too. The one thing I will note is similar to TDSB as most school boards, because we're using the free version of Google Workspace, you actually can't record your video sessions within Google. But I would, if that's the issue, I'd recommend using QuickTime, Zoom, Microsoft Teams. any other avenue out there if you were looking to actually record and save your lectures. So that's just one caveat that I wanted to add. And anytime you do create a whiteboard, whether it's here or over here, it's actually going to save a Jamboard to your Google Drive. And if you want to know what a Jamboard is, I'll just quickly pull one up. Scroll down. Jamboard. So Jamboard is basically like a giant, I don't know, you might say like a sticky note, bulletin board type place where you can create your own content. Again, you can share this and open it up with anyone you want. If you're running a Jamboard in a meeting, everyone in the meeting will have access. You can add new pages, set backgrounds, and you can, again, just start adding stickies, but it's really good in a collaboration kind of manner to share stuff. You can add text boxes, images, you can draw on it, which is kind of cool. Again, add more slides as needed. Jamboards are really great for things like student projects. If students are meeting and they're trying to put stuff together, it's just a nice collaborative space that's really user-friendly, especially for people that don't have a lot of technical experience, which is kind of cool. So along with the Google Chats and the Google Meets, let's hop into some more of the teaching and learning features with Google Workspace. So if I open up my my app finder here, I'm going to head down to one called Classroom. It's likely that if you've been on Practicum, you've used Google Classroom in the past. If it's your first time using Google Classroom, it's going to prompt you to ask if you are a student or a teacher. Choose the teacher option and you'll get the opportunity to create your own classes and that sort of stuff. And again, you can easily create a class. You could call this drama section 102 drama, I guess. You can give as much stuff, room, sure, if there's a room number, and you can create your class. It usually takes a second. And the cool thing about creating classes and stuff within Google is that you can also invite your peers. So anyone else who's in our instance of Google Workspace, you can add them into your class to start testing stuff. So you can share the class code with anyone you want, which is kind of cool. And again, start adding people into your classroom as well too. So if you want to add, like I said, Andrea, I'll use her as an example. I can send her an invite. So she's going to get an email saying she's been invited to my class. You can also add peers as teachers as well too, especially if you want them to have access to edit and change some of the content within your classroom. So when you do create a classroom, this is what your homepage is going to look like. It's called the stream. And the stream just usually outlines things that you've posted as a teacher. So whether it's assignments, resources, due dates, meetings, this will all appear in your stream. So I could put an announcement in here to all students, and I could say, class starts tomorrow, and I can go ahead and I can post that in there. You can also add things like YouTube videos. Hey, everyone, and I'll just pull this YouTube video here for a second. Hey, everyone, check out this cool YouTube video. It could be a video that you've created and uploaded. It could be a teaching resource you want to share. Check out this video. And just like that, you can share that. And you'll even see down here, I can upload stuff directly from my desktop. So if I'm on a computer, I can just upload files. I can add links for external websites, maybe a CBC article. I can also share stuff directly from my Google Drive. So if I have a book report assignment or a essay plan, I can upload that easily for students to view and look at, which is super cool. I can also say, oh, it might not let me tag her, but you can also tag students in comments. Hey, Andrea, have you watched the video yet? Or hey, Stevie, what did you think of this video? Which is kind of cool to keep students engaged by literally tagging them in content. The other thing I'll just discard that. The other thing I'll show you is classwork. So here, if I click on classwork, I can click create, and it will ask me if I want to create an assignment, a quiz, questions. Maybe I just want to post material. I can even create a brand new topic. So if this is drama, I might say, again, I don't know much about drama. This might be my acting topic. I might add another topic for directing. And so you can actually start adding content underneath each section or each topic. So you can start adding assignments, etc. Assignments are essentially Google Forms that are found within your Gmail. So if I go to Gmail here, and if I click the drop down, I can choose Google Forms. The name is a little bit misleading because you think, oh, form, is this for a survey? Well, no, you can actually use Google Forms to create assignments, quizzes, etc. Here's like a math quiz I created back in November. Again, there's probably not much in it, but you can absolutely create your own quizzes and link these to your Google Classroom as well. Is algebra fun? You can choose the answer. You can add your own options. You can even choose the question type as well. So if you're running an English course, maybe you have them read an excerpt and you can make it be a paragraph answer so they can type it in. And you can even choose to create an answer key and a rubric as well. So again, you can go from running a very simple, small type quiz or assessment. You can really flesh it out as much as you want, because you can add sections to your quizzes. You can add questions. I mean, the sky really is the limit. And the cool thing about creating these types of assessments, again, similar to an assessment here, and actually I'll close that for a second. Let's see if I click create. Let me go back. If I click create here and I click an assignment, I can actually choose how many marks it's going to be out of, and then I can add I can't add a rubric right now until I kind of flesh out the assignment, but you can choose how many grades it's out of, and then you can go even more in depth and start formatting your classroom, which is kind of cool too. So you can determine how much is worth what marks. Again, I don't have any students in my class currently, but you can really start to play around with the grade book and stuff like that too. The one thing I will say is down the road, I can absolutely start doing more sessions on, or even creating some example classrooms. I know a lot of you who are teaching in TDSB, you don't know what classes you're teaching and who your students are, that sort of stuff. And so that's why really this Google Workspace project is just set up so that you can create and kind of, it's more for like a testing environment with your peers in the MT program, but you can share this content over to any other email address or account you want down the road. So if you go to your Google, your Gmail, and pull up your Drive, anything you've created, whether it's, let's see here, some of these classes and stuff like that, some of these forms, you can absolutely share those over as well. Let me see if there's anything in Classroom here. And here you can even see, here's the classes I've created. And so you can easily share these files over. If you have a TDSB account, if you have maybe just a personal Gmail, you can share these with your classmates. So maybe it's a thing where if you and your peers are all teaching the same math course, well, what happens if each of you just create a unit and then share it across everyone? So I know in teacher education, it's definitely about survival and trying to get good resources and good lessons out there. So the nice thing is that Google really does promote the kind of sharing and collaboration. Another cool thing I wanted to share was that because you have a Gmail account through OISE, you can also run your own YouTube channel. And so here, this is my channel. I just uploaded a video this morning, and a lot of people might be a little scared or hesitant at first to go, Ryan, I don't want to run a YouTube channel. I don't want to put myself out there. I just want to teach my students. Well, if you do have some ideas for some fun lessons or some fun videos you could make, or maybe you're teaching more of a higher level course, like a grade 12 English course where you can get away with a little bit more of that lecture style teaching, you can absolutely create videos on your computer and upload them to the YouTube channel. And if I go to my videos, my videos here, for example, this morning I uploaded just a video I've created in the past. And the cool thing is that if I upload my video, which you can just click the create button here to upload it, there's a lot of settings that you can customize within each video that might give you a little bit of peace of mind. So here's the video I uploaded this morning. Again, I just did a screen recording on my computer. You can add a cover image if you want, so you could put a title in there. It may also have some examples you can use from your video. And you can even go down and you can, oops. Oh yeah, sorry, on the right-hand side here, you can choose what the visibility of your video is. If it's a public video, everyone in the world can see you teaching an English course or an English concept if they search for whatever is in your title. If you have an unlisted video, this means only people with the video link can see the video, aka students who are in your course, or maybe classmates or peers you've shared your video with. So I really like using unlisted videos on YouTube to really help build out my Google Classroom. See if I can pull back. I think I was maybe in math. So yeah, earlier today, I just posted, hey guys, check out this video if you're having trouble with Google Workspace. The video posts right there, and then students or you as the instructor can add comments. That was a cool video, or hey, I didn't really understand that. If you're using teaching resource videos like Khan Academy, you can post those in there too. So now you don't even have to use resources that you've created, and you can really see who's engaging with the video, who's watching it, and that sort of stuff. So that's just another little kind of fun fact I wanted to share, because a lot of people tend to overlook YouTube as a way to create content and share content for teaching, because we don't want to put our faces out there on the World Wide Web. So again, creating that unlisted video is really going to be kind of a game changer for those of us that don't want to put ourselves out there. And now I'll just go back to my Gmail again. Again, I use this for my landing page. If I click on the drop-down menu, there are a bunch of other tools you may be familiar with. So Calendar is nice because it syncs up really, really well with Meet. You can see even the icons are almost the same. And so you can actually schedule class time, class meeting, office hours, and you can have meetings associated with different events you've put in your calendar, which is really cool as well. Some of the other ones that you maybe haven't heard of, such as Currents, that's actually being deleted by Google at the end of April. So Currents is actually getting replaced with Spaces. And I know I'm kind of bouncing around here, but Spaces is a cool spot where you could meet with a larger group of people. So let's say you want to create a space. I might call this Math Grade 9. And here you can absolutely add your students into the meeting. You can use threaded replies and you can create it. And just like that, again, sometimes it takes a second, you can see here's my space for grade 9. So you can add a new thread. You can say, how's the essay assignment going? Which again, maybe you're not doing an essay assignment in math. And again, you can share a bunch of GIFs with it too. And you can even do a video if you want, and you can share that. And so now, right now, it's just Andrea and myself in here. But if you see all of your classmates in here, it runs almost like a Discord a little bit, kind of like a Slack if you've used Slack before, even like Microsoft Teams kind of. And that's kind of what Spaces is trying to be. You can assign tasks, which is cool too. Hey, if it's a primary, make sure you get your planner signed, or make sure you bring back the field trip form. So you can add those as well. So again, starting very high level, but definitely it can be fleshed out to as granular as you want to get with some of these applications. And as we keep scrolling through contacts, in the contacts window, you're going to have access to every single MT student who has an OISE.utron.ca email account. So if you want to reach out to anyone from other sections or any of your peers or any of your instructors, you'll be able to do that as well in there. Things like Google Maps, Google News, Google Photos, those are all maybe useful on a more of a personal level if you've used Google Maps before or Google News. But you can easily use Google News to pull links if you have reading resources you want to share with students. And Photos serves as a repository where you can upload and create your own photo repository if you want to, have pictures that you've added to your assignments and stuff like that. Another fun fact is if you are looking for a cool place to get good pictures, Unsplash is a great one. They're free images. You can type in math here, and you can find all kinds of images. This is an advertisement, but down here you can find all kinds of images that are open source, meaning you can use them for whatever reason you want. If you want a background for a PowerPoint slide or a title slide, go ahead, download it, add it to your Google Doc or your Google Slides, whatever. And there's tons of images in here as well too, which is very cool. And now one of the last things I wanted to share was the Google Sites. So a lot of times teachers, when you're on practicum, you get access to a Google Classroom to teach your students whatever course you're supposed to teach. And Google Classrooms is nice because you have access to a lot of your assessments and your communications with students, but it also doesn't have that super nice feel where it's super organized by unit, like your traditional classroom website might be. So a lot of folks are actually using Google Classroom in conjunction with Google Sites. If I open up Google Sites here, there's templates in just about every Google application. I can create a class, and the templates are actually pretty good for at least to get you started on building out your class. So you might call this your drama class. You can change the images, which is cool. And you can add all kinds of content to your course. And even up here, a schedule, which syncs up with, you guessed it, your Google Calendar. So you can have a nice landing page here. You can add more links, more pages to your course as well by choosing the pages. And maybe you just want to put Unit 1 acting or something like that. And so you can add an acting page, and in here you can put all the content you want, whether you want to add just a bunch of links to YouTube videos, maybe Google Doc files, etc. You can start to really build out your website that way. And again, you're obviously going to be pulling from your Google Classroom. So it's kind of linking back and forth. It's really more for if you're a teacher who wants to take your class to the next level. For some people, Google Classroom is all they need. But if you have just a lot of content, and again, my mind always thinks of more of the higher level, grade 11, grade 12 stuff, where you just have a ton of material to get through. A Google site may also help supplement your Google Classroom. So that could be an option too. I think that's kind of it. I know I've kind of gone rapid fire here, more of a top level session. The last one I wanted to share was down here is called Google Keep. This is just more of a to-do list. Again, it's better for using on a personal level, I find, but you can take notes. Take out the garbage, or mark essays maybe would have been a better example. But you can, choose different colors. You can add images. You can share it with people. Maybe I'll share it with Andrea. She's probably going to get all kinds of alerts from me today. And I can also set a reminder, remind me tomorrow at 8 a.m. And there we go. And so there's my lovely Google Keep file. And you can kind of use that, especially if you're like me, like keeping digital lists of all the tasks you have to complete in a day. That can be useful. And it's something you can also share with the students in your class too. If they just need to make lists and prioritize, this could be a really great tool as well. So that kind of encompasses all of the tools that are available, or at least most of the tools that are available within Google Workspace for Education. If there are additional add-ons, like I said, reach out to Kim McKinnon or myself, and we can definitely review it. I've added, did I add one earlier? No, but yeah, we can definitely add more to this instance of Google Workspace. So I hope this at least gave you a good understanding of what Google Workspace is. I know a lot of you have probably already used it, or at least used Gmail. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop share for a second. I'm going to turn off the recording, and we'll do some questions and answers, and hopefully I can show some stuff.